Here's one of my retirement dinners.
You look like you're feeling good there.
A hearty laugh and a positive attitude are a way of life for retired Captain 1 Ricardo Rick Ortiz. Born in 1926, this veteran of the LAFD has worn many hats in his lifetime. First and foremost, a beloved husband, father, and grandfather. On the career front, he's a World War II vet after enlisting in the Navy at 17 years old. He also worked in construction and transportation, as well as being a painter and a salesman, among other jobs. But Ortiz will tell you in no uncertain terms, his true happy place was the LAFD.
I went in January 28, 1957. In fact, I had a chief one time ask me, he says, Ortiz, you think you're a success? Certainly I am, sir. How do you figure that? January 28, 1957, the day I came on this job. And 6 months later, when I got off probation, I was 1,000% success. Ever since then, everything has been gravy. He says, you're all right, Ortiz. Yeah. I retired November 27th of 1987.
Wow.
Almost 31 years, like short of a couple of months. 31 years, loved it. And the reason I retired was because I had been hurt at 46s and I'm on back firefighting. And I always babied it. Never had an operation and never got any better.
During those more than 3 decades of service, Ortiz rose through the ranks. From firefighter to engineer, then captain, tackling some of the most demanding and dangerous work of any profession. And it's a world Ortiz thrived in. He liked everything the job had to offer.
The environment, the camaraderie, the firefighting, exciting, the command decisions, and the confrontations. I like confrontations, especially guys that complain about the fire department. I had one little rookie there that he was complaining, and I walked in the kitchen. I was listening to him. He told me, I says, how many jobs have you had? Well, this is my first one. This is your first job, and you're complaining? What do you got to complain about? I had 10 jobs in 10 years in the private sector.
But the private sector can't compare to the impact the LAFD had. Over the years, he responded to some of the biggest and most devastating fire events in the city's history, including the mother of all brush fires, 1961's Bel Air blaze.
That's the biggest one I've ever been on as far as the brush fire. Took out those 300-some homes, huge, big homes, beautiful homes. I was there a day and a half, and what happened was that the fire started about 8:30, and we went up there to Beverly Glen and Mulholland, and we started moving through there. At 10 in the morning, you thought it was 2 o'clock in the morning. It was so dark. Sometimes these houses would explode before we even got there, because the gases would get up into the attic, and the combination was just perfect, and boom. See? We saved about 15 houses that day. Boom, 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 moving around. In fact, that was the day that I sprained my ankle jumping over Janet Lee's house, saving her, stepped in a hole and turned it. My knee blew up like a grapefruit. It was thought that the San Diego freeway would be a fire break, but they didn't think it was going to jump over that freeway. Off it went. Shoot, that thing jumped over there like nothing. The fire kept moving down along Deal there, Sunset, and they got to the end. I forgot what the name of that cane was, and they stopped it at midnight. That's where Robert Taylor's place is. Red Skelton was another one we saved. And then we got to this one house. We're on the flat, and there was a little hill below that, and all of a sudden we heard a noise going, ooh, 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 ooh. And I looked at him, what the hell is that? And here comes this huge ball of fire, about 8 feet, huge ball of fire rolling up this hill. Yeah, that's how it was.
Just a few years later, he witnessed yet another monumental moment. In 1965, the Watts Riots erupted, and Ortiz was once again rushing towards the danger.
We had a National Guard ride with us. That lasted a couple of days. And that those politicians, they always call things in late. See, the governor wasn't in town. There was an acting governor. 2 days later, when the city's burning, then he calls in the National Guard. That was quite a deal, that Watts riot. Okay, now here's the big one. This is the Sansinena, which was a tanker in the harbor. And my buddy, John Hall, on the bureau, he and his other buddy, Casalicio, about a few hours before, had inspected this. So now, we're sitting in the office, I'm doing paperwork, and this other guy's looking out the window, and about 8 o'clock, boom! I could see the window bowing. I was like, oh my God, I said, what's that? So now we go steaming down channel, pitch black. So we go down the channel. Over here on this side is the Princess Louise, which was a restaurant, a ship that had been turned into a restaurant. And the Relief Association was having a party that night. Blew out the windows. So we go steaming down the way, got to the end down there, and they have that big brick warehouse right there. And just this side, I looked up the channel, and here's all this fire going. Right? And what happened was, when this thing blew, it just went like that. It just ripped it apart. It took this wharf right here, took this wharf, it was about 18 inches of concrete, and just opened it up. There was a pumping station here too, leveled it. Afterwards, we pulled the boat in alongside the dock, and I went ashore to check things out. And I saw this sack of potatoes there. What the hell are these potatoes doing out here? I looked down it with a light, it wasn't no potato, it was a body. No body, no nothing, it was just clean, no blood, nothing. But it was a body, and there were several of them there. So I came back, and then the fire was starting to move into the marina. There was a marina over here. So we laid a line, and then we opened up with the foam, and we moved that fire all the way back to its origin. It took them about a day to get that thing under control. They lost about 9 lives in that thing. Besides, when that pumping station was gone and that wharf, I mean, they just ripped that thing like it was nothing. Right? Tremendous explosion.
Meanwhile, a stellar career spanning more than 30 years is made even more impressive when you consider in the early days, firefighters didn't have the high-tech equipment or safety gear they have today. And that includes the basics like a breathing apparatus.
We didn't have apparatus at the time when we came on. We didn't have apparatus. You couldn't breathe freely, you know, you had to get down on the floor because the smoke was up at the top. In fact, I got a chief right now, he didn't have breathing apparatus, and he's having problems with his lungs now. He's on an air machine. Over the years, they came up with the breathing apparatus little by little. That's what you see today. We didn't have any gloves either. I went out and bought my own. I had to borrow $300 from the credit union to pay for my uniforms. Today, they get everything. They have a lot of safety equipment today.
And when he wasn't risking his own life or saving others, Captain Ortiz was still very much focused on his firefighting family.
This is the TV deal. I was selected to do this program, all in Spanish.
He hosted a weekly LAFD community information program, putting his immense charm and charisma to work in front of the camera. And behind the scenes, he's the reason fire stations started opening their doors to very special visitors.
There was no women allowed at the station. No family days, none of that. But I was the guy that started that. And it was great. We have family day. My kids did not want me here Christmas, New Year's, or Easter. They wanted the fire station. We have as many as 100 people there. Yeah. Maybe bars will do the main thing, and then the ladies and the wives are bringing all the goodies on the side. And then I tell them, guys, you guys get in your uniform. Why we got to get your... So there's little sweethearts to see how handsome you are. Uniforms. My family loved me. My wife loved me being a fireman. You know, my wife was poor when she was young, and she lived in East Los Angeles, her and her family. Her mother had 6 brothers and 2 sisters. So when I got on the fire department and started going through my promotions, and then the fire department functions and whatnot, she appreciated it. She loved the fire department, and my kids loved it also.
He clearly loved it as well. At his home, you'll find a substantial collection of awards, honors, and memorabilia in a room affectionately called
this I Love Me room.
Being part of the LAFD was more than a job. It was a calling, delivering an endless supply of satisfaction and pride for Captain Ortiz. In turn, his time as a firefighter was a resounding win for the department. He came on board with all the building blocks for success and then some.
What makes a good firefighter is attitude, proper attitude and drive. That's what makes a good firefighter. They'll tell you about loyalty, they'll tell you about integrity and all that. If you have attitude, proper attitude, that covers everything. Attitude is number one in life, and no matter where it is. People you associate with, your family, friends, whatever. Attitude. That's number one. I had this one guy tell me, he says, Cap, why are you so nice to everybody? Because I want a big retirement dinner. I don't want it in a phone booth. When I retired, had it at the ports of call. 250 firemen and all 5 fireboats are spraying.
A fitting send-off and celebration for a man who gave the department some of the best years of his life. And if he could, he'd do it all over again.
I'd go back in a minute. I loved it, loved it.